Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast with me, Johnny Pardo. Today, I welcome Fallon back to the podcast where we're going to be talking about self-esteem and the connection to wealth. So Fallon is a transformation coach and intuitive healer. She helps people turn their passions into businesses. So Fallon, welcome to the show, or welcome back to the show. Yeah, be really interested to hear, first of all, for the listeners, that if they don't know and they're not familiar, and there's different terms sort of out there for different things. For you, as a transformation coach and intuitive healer, tell us a little bit more about what that is and how you really got into it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so good to see you. I am so grateful to be here. Jai and I met through the Brain Health Network. So I've been kind of a brain nerd for about 11 or 12 years professionally and my whole life, basically. And the more that I learned about the brain and our biological health, our psychological health, social health, spiritual health, I started diving into environmental health. And then I did a little bit deeper dive into what spiritual health actually means and learning more about energy work, and really just as far as a transformation coach and someone who, I feel like I'm transforming every day. It's more about really understanding that like everything is always a journey. And I know that sounds cheesy and a lot of people say it, but I'm hoping that this time maybe it sinks in, because for me, it didn't sink in for a long time. And when you realize that especially, we're recording this at the beginning of January, like a lot of people are either doing the resolution thing, or people like me are going in the total opposite direction. And I'm just like really doing what feels good in my body and letting that be it, like straight up.
I like
And so you can really change your mind of how you want to be right now. You can literally go to bed tonight, wake up tomorrow a different person. And for me personally, that's always my goal. Like I want to be the best version of myself tomorrow that I can be, no matter what is thrown at me. And I think in the transformation world, coaching, personal development, there's a lot of people like me who, we're willing to do the emotional work, right? We're willing to go see all the doctors and spend all the money to make sure our body, which is our vessel, is like as clear and as sharp as possible. But we struggle with the wealth stuff. We struggle with the money stuff because of the way that we grew up. And maybe we've just, been working our asses off since we were 14 years old and we don't really know another way. And when we start looking at this relationship with money as an actual relationship, it's something that's always going to be in our lives. And it's something that we have to deal with every day. But if you look at money as your partner, as your biggest fan, as your best friend, the person that wants to support you, maybe it's like, I call it like the silver fox angel investor. Like money wants to be all of those things, but we're just so programmed. And I know you know this through the NLP work that you do better than anybody. Like we're just so programmed for fear and for scarcity. And then we have human experiences that set us back even more. And maybe, I don't know if it's as bad in the UK as it is here, but like the public school systems in the US are like, they literally just want us to be worker bees for the 1%, right? And so we're completely disconnected from money. We're taught that money is, you have to work extremely hard and you have to go through all of these hoops and all these things to get money. But it's like, if money is a physical manifestation of abundance and you can be abundant in your life in many other ways, then that opens up the portals for money to actually come in. But the self-esteem thing is, do I actually feel worthy? And I know when I was getting raises, it's like literally within 30 days, something would happen, right? Like my rent would double, my car would totally break down. There's nothing I can do to fix it. And it's because I wasn't a good receiver. And there's a difference between, or some people think between receiving money and receiving a compliment, but they're really the same thing, right? Like if everything's energy, if you give me a compliment and I just say thank you and I just send love from my heart to you, that's me being a good receiver. Me being a not good receiver is immediately making an excuse like, oh, this old thing, if you're complimenting what I'm wearing, or me feeling like I have to immediately compliment you back. So are you going to be a good receiver? Are you going to be a responsible holder? And then are you also going to be a responsible circulator of money? But that goes right back to you and your energy, right? You and your purpose. Are you receiving input? Especially in this world, most of us are working with coaches and mentors who are spending a lot of money that we're happy to pay because we want their feedback. We want to know what we can be doing better. We want to know what tiny tweaks we aren't seeing in our blind spots in our business that are going to totally change our entire business and our revenue stream. Just the same with our relationships. Like, are you a good receiver in your romantic relationships, in your sexual relationships? Like, this whole concept of wealth, I feel like there's a lot of people who are really wonderful people and they're doing a lot of the other work, so to speak, but almost they're like spiritual bypassing. I know that's like trending. Spiritual bypassing is about wealth and about money. And like, well, I really want to help a lot of people, but I don't care about the money. And one of my clients, that's been one of the things we've been working on the most. And I'm so grateful that like in the last few months, like he's really seeing like your vision is so big of how you're going to impact the world and make people's lives better and create systemic change, that you have to make a lot of money. And if you want to give a lot of that to charity, that's totally fine. But you still have to have your physical vessel and energy being a receiver for very large amounts of money and knowing how to circulate it responsibly and not just like pissing it all away or giving it away. Like you're like, okay, so I can invest it here. I understand how to work these investments, and just really understanding that money is a relationship, and our worth has nothing to do with how much money we have. Our worth actually has nothing to do with anything except that we simply are worthy because we are actually here on this planet right now. And it's like the craziest time to be alive in our entire history. And especially now, 2024 is just numerology, astrology. I mean, we're about to step into one of the biggest abundance portals in our entire society. And it's really about choosing your soul mission and saying yes to yourself and saying yes to the things that you want to do to serve. But you have to have money to do that. And you have to be a good receiver in order to actually receive the money and then hold it and circulate it responsibly so that you're making the impact that you want.
Love that. What you're talking about in like receiving and being like a good receiver of it as well, even. And yeah, like I genuinely believe as well that you can do a lot of, good, like you're talking about your client, being able to go out there and help more people will require money, as I personally see it as a bit of like a tool to be able to do that, like
Exactly.
a tool to sort of receive and then do more good with it. So yeah, I love that. One thing I was thinking about before our conversation today, because I was talking to someone else about this today, was like there's not I don't believe personally there's a shortage of information out there to do well in business, like intellectually, to do well in business, like, YouTube, podcasts, etc., even the free stuff or the paid stuff. And what you're talking about, like not everyone, but quite a lot of us invest quite heavily in, particularly in our sort of world, in like mentors and coaches. I guess like the question I was thinking about was, some people can go out there and they don't necessarily even have the best information or the best program and do really, really well in like make 6 figures, 7 figures. Yet you see someone else who's like learned a lot and actually really talks to them. They give a lot of value, yet they're really struggling to like make it a living, or maybe they're struggling to pay the bills, yet they've got such brilliance. Do you believe that's something to do with receiving, something to do with beliefs? I just love to hear your view on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of it is core beliefs, because we know a lot of people that have a lot of money and are very evil people, right? Like they do not have a trouble receiving. They don't have trouble someone just writing them a check for, $750 million to do whatever they're going to do. But that's part of their soul. There's a soul contract there, right? And like for me, especially like with my family, all of the past lives that I've had, I've been extremely poor in every single one. I grew up in a lower middle class family. So for me, my life mission in this lifetime is to be successful and to learn to actually have a successful business and be abundant. And again, like it doesn't necessarily have to be about money. My mentor was talking about this last night. It's like, if you had everything that you want, you had the house, you had the car, you always had groceries, like you wouldn't really need money, right? Like if all of your needs are being met. But again, like that's a very different perception of what we're used to. We're used to just feeling like we have to have money just to have it. But if your mission is to grow a business and to live your soul mission and you're really struggling, and I know what it's like. Yeah, you see those people out there who are like, I literally right before I got on was like, learn how to talk to a client with a, $50 million revenue or whatever. And it's like, because of my journey with how I learned about taking care of people and the brain and things like that, like I just look at people as people, right? And like for years I had to kind of take off that clinical cap and like not go right into like the psychology of what was going on with them. But it's like, what are your relationships like? Like, what are you actually here to learn in this lifetime? Like, because there's a lot of people that have a lot of money and their relationships are not loving and meaningful, or they're not really doing what they actually love. And then, yeah, there's people who are making not a lot of money and they love what they're doing and they're working really hard, but more so than not, they're probably a wounded healer and they probably have a lot more work to do on their heart. And I think the connection between our heart coherence and then Mother Earth herself is really important and very underrated. I have a friend who literally just travels the world getting codes through her feet from the earth. And then she gives her unique frequency back to the earth. Mm-hmm. And she ends up somehow magically making money from that. Right. Mm. And back to what you were saying in the beginning, like, we live in a time and place where it's easier than ever to make as much money as you want doing very relatively easy things because of the way that the internet works and YouTube and like Amazon and affiliate marketing. Like there's a lot of ways to make money. And, maybe you're not doing exactly what you love to make a certain amount of money to fuel the thing that you want to do. Like we were talking about before, I just do not want to spend $100 every time I want someone to add 2 seconds of music to my jingle from my podcast. Like, what is the cost and what is the benefit? And I think it's important. I mean, we're always taught, before the internet, before remote work, like most people had to invest at least like $50,000 or so in their business. They had to have staff, they had to have a place to work. And like, we don't have any of that anymore, which is a gift, because if you want to invest in yourself, you can, I mean, if you want to invest $50,000 into something to start your business, like that's really incredible. And you can get an immense amount of value that you wouldn't have, 20 years ago, because that was literally just physical setup. Your physical setup now costs, maybe a few $1,000s for like your computer and your ring light and all those little knick-knacky things. Maybe you do have a VA, but it's just, we're like literally in the most amazing, brilliant time to make a lot of money doing what we love and making it just so much easier. And like, the 40-hour work week is going to be very dead soon. Like, I just see this like split of people who think that that's normal and people who are like, that's crazy. I feel like we're kind of in like an 80-20, maybe a 90-10% right now. And I feel like that gap's going to go to like 50-50 very soon, because people are starting to realize that. I mean, I have a friend who is a healer, and like she's making money doing affiliate marketing. Like that's what she's doing to fuel her healing business so that she can, she wants to do like ads and she wants to do summits, and like that all takes money when you're marketing yourself, right? Like if you're watching and you're like, Johnny and I are like, we are the business, right? Like our gifts are the business. That's different. But yeah, if you have like products or whatever, it's all about the energy, and you can always figure out a way to make the money that you want to fuel your passion and your mission.
Yeah, no, I like that. And yeah, sometimes you might, like you're saying, sometimes you might be doing something that's not necessarily your business, like affiliate marketing or something as a business. But for just thinking back to sort of like wounding, because I know like there's, or sort of, well, beliefs and sort of wounds, I know slightly different thing, but can sort of go a bit hand in hand. But with like, growing up, we have a lot of beliefs. Maybe it's about like the working week. You got to work really hard, like you were talking about. I think that's a very common one in the UK as well. You got to work exceptionally hard to make money. And then I've been, caught myself like, hang on, I've just made like being in like a sort of a sales environment when it's fun and I'm having like a conversation with someone and people sign up and I'm getting a large commission. And I'm really enjoying the conversations and doing it out of integrity and the heart place. They're thanking me and hearing they're doing really well. There's like, there was a part of me, particularly at the beginning, that's going, like this is too, like, this isn't hard enough. Like, how do I make this more harder? There's
Mhm.
like that belief because you know grew up with
Yeah.
two very well in well, loving and still loving, amazing parents, but very hardworking teachers. So there's obviously that part, you know, in my head that's like that I admittedly still have to catch myself out for, you know, sort of that, like, you got to burn yourself down to the ground to have a lot of money. And then if you make it too easy, there's got to be something wrong. Or not, it's
Yeah.
not always easy. Obviously, there's hard parts, but it sometimes feels easier when you're sort of like having fun with it.
Yeah.
I suppose, do you, how have you talked to about your mentor and having someone to support you? How do you find, like, because quite a lot of us try and, with the information we got, and I've been like there, particularly at the start, like trying to do stuff alone. How do you find it useful having that external support or mentor or coach, versus like going alone and trying to work through some of this? What's the difference for you personally, have you found?
I mean, I was seeing therapists and coaches and things like that for years, but it wasn't until I made like a very big investment in someone who I'd been following for probably just a few months. But I mean, I would literally drop everything I was doing if I saw that she sent an email or she was hosting an event. So when she, asked, like, I'm taking one-on-one clients, you have to fill out this application. The application was like donating a kidney, basically. I was already in. So when she told me it was going to cost $30,000, which at the time was half my salary, I was like, holy shit, like, your ego, your human brain's like, there's no way you're going to be able to do that. Like, you're crazy. But I was like, nope. I was like, this just feels right. And like, I literally have no idea how I'm going to pay this woman. But like, and I said, God, angels, my guides, like, if this is something that I'm meant to do, and you're going to support me with figuring out how to pay her, then, and obviously growing my business, then please show me a sign. And I got a very clear sign immediately. And I was like, okay, this is what we're doing. And it completely changed my life. And it's because it stretched me out of my comfort zone. Whereas now thinking of paying $30,000 for a coach is like, I don't think I'll ever pay that again. Right. Like, the type of people I would invest in what they charge is going to be a lot more than that. It's just a very different mindset because I was one of those people for a long time that was like addicted to all the free stuff. But again, like, if you're not using money as a tool to give and receive and trust your relationship with source, which, I mean, it's always God's money, right? I know some people here probably have heard that before, but it's true. You can't go wrong if you're doing what your guides and God is telling you exactly what to do to receive the money and then how to spend the money. Like, there's just no way around it. If you're knowing that this is what you really want, like, you have to stretch yourself out of your comfort zone. And it's that feeling of when you have those dreams, right? Where like you all of a sudden you wake up and you're like naked on stage. It's like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. But it's like, those are the dreams that are actually telling you like, hey, it's time for you to get really scared. It's time for you to get really out of your comfort zone, which is why it's important to pay attention to your dreams. And if you have something in the middle of the night, like, jot it down, or like, I do a voice memo because it's a lot faster for me than actually writing. And just pay attention to the messages that you're getting. Because again, like, if money is a tool and it's God's money, your spirit team is always going to be guiding you onto what you need to be doing or not doing to make money. Because there's a lot of people who, when they start to actually get this, like, they make more money when they're going on vacation. Or like, one of my mentors, like, she was a multimillionaire before age 25 doing intuitive healing work. So I listen to everything that she says. And she says she makes the most money in the 2 hours that she does her lymphatic massage every week. Like, it's just, the money literally just comes in. So
Wow.
yeah. So it's not about the doing, it's about being and taking aligned action. And if you've never paid attention to your human design in your business, that's very, very, very important, so that you know how to take aligned action and like what type of sales and marketing you're meant to do. Because there's some people who are meant to write really long emails. There's some people who are meant to do, very short audio messages to their audience. Like, there's a lot of different things about your unique design. And if you can tap into your human design and incorporate that into those decisions, it can help a lot. because there's literally gates in your chart that tell certain stories of the things that you're more prone to, strength and vulnerability wise. And like, I literally had money lines, but my money lines were related to vulnerability and self-esteem, which is why this is what I was so excited to talk to you about, because as my self-esteem gets higher, I am getting more wealth codes because I'm being able to be a good receiver, right? The way that I approach dating now is very different than it was 2 years ago. Same with my relationship with money. It's very, very different. Same with the way that I live my life every day. It's very, very different because it's all about the energy frequency and what you're willing to, I want to say suffer, but like, you don't really have to suffer, but like, what am I willing to do and not do for my life and business? And what am I willing to put up with and not put up with? And this is actually a really fun exercise, and knowing that you can change your mind at any time. But I think a lot of people for 2024, like one of their affirmations or resolutions was to have better boundaries and to say no more. But you have to know what you're saying, why you're saying no. And I think it's really powerful to do this exercise. Like, I'm available for this. I'm available to feel this. I'm available for this type of interaction. I'm not available for this, right? Like, I'm not available, for example, for like forever. People would just email me stuff and I'm like, you can literally Google that. Why do you think my time is like less important than you? I'm not available for answering questions that you can Google, right? Like, that's very clear. I'm not available for, going to a wedding of someone that I don't like. Like, that's not a good energy exchange for me, because if I'm thinking of my energy frequency as currency, you're actually taking money away from me by me not having a good time and being in a good space, which I know is very hard, especially right now. This is like a very raw wound for me, because there's people that I thought would be in my life forever, but just this money thing is like, it really represents other things in your life, right? Like, if you just stop talking about money, like you just didn't talk about it, you really didn't think about it, it was just like another tool. It was like your toothbrush, your phone, your pillow on your bed. Like, they're all just the same, right? They're all just tools that you need in daily life. Your life would be very, very different, but we're just programmed to be obsessing about money from a fear and scarcity standpoint to scare us into really working for the people who have all the money and just want worker bees. Like, that's my personal opinion, because if you are responsible for making money and you're doing what you love, and you can literally make money doing anything that you love, like very, very easy to do that nowadays, despite what other people tell you and despite what Facebook and Instagram ads tell you. Like, you can, like, especially if you're doing what you love. And I mean, I love what I do. I love teaching people. I love coaching people. I love doing energy healing sessions. I just love talking. I mean, let's be honest. I'm sure you've gathered that from now. So like, what I do isn't really going to change on a daily basis, no matter how much money I have. And the more that I'm living as the person who already has the amount of money that she wants to be using and investing in, and like in the house that I want, in the car that I want, those things are naturally going to come to me, right? Like vision boards. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people are into them, because once you start seeing it, it's in your subconscious, and the laws of the universe through hermetic principles tell you that like at some point, the things that you're thinking about will come into your reality. But let's go further from the vision board, and like, what would it feel like to be making the amount of money that I want and hopping around the planet to check on my retreat centers that I built and staffed myself and I'm super proud of. And I know that every client who goes in there comes out a completely better version of themselves. Thanks, Zoom, for the little thumbs up there. Like, how would I feel? How would I look? How would I smell? What would I be touching? Like, actually involving all of the senses other than just vision is so important, and a huge missing piece when people are manifesting things. And so I always recommend, like, first thing in the morning and then at night, like, what are the things I really want to experience today? And like, one of the things that I experience most days is drinking my ceremonial cacao, which is fancy blessed chocolate, and it's amazing. And like, that I'm going to be able to smell it, and I'm going to be able to hold it, and I'm going to see it in one of my mugs because I love all the mugs that I have. I'm going to be on my comfortable couch. My cat is most likely going to be sitting in my lap. We have this like little like meditation morning together. So I'm bringing in all of the senses, right? So a year ago when I was like, damn, I want to get off coffee. It's really bad for my adrenals. I just detoxed from mold, like really don't need to be putting this shit in my body. I was like, how am I going to do that? And you were like, oh, have you heard about this ceremonial cacao? I was like, wow, like this is expensive, right? Like that excuse comes in and I'm like, I'm going to make it work. Like I am going to make this work. And now it's something that I don't even think about. I don't think about sending them $200 for a big bag of it. Like it's an investment to me because it starts me off in this frequency of luxury and yumminess that I can't get from anything else until something else pops in. I am addicted to electrolytes as well. So there's that.
It reminded me, my coach shows me some cacao.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's yeah. We had some in Peru. It's a very nice
Oh my
yeah. It's a
God.
very it's cheaper over there, but it's yeah,
Oh, for sure.
it's an interesting drink. I'm not quite
Yeah.
off the coffee like you, so a lot of admiration
Yeah.
with that, but only having one a day, so obviously don't want to have more than that. But no, it's a good idea like that. And I was also going back to what you were saying about your time and like energy being like a currency as well. I'll definitely relate to that. There's a lot of, oh yeah, could we jump on a quick call for like this amount? And it's like, if that's like, if that's like your best friend, that's like your family member, and you're like always there for them, you got that heart connection. That I see that as different. But if it's sometimes someone in your network who's just want a bit of guidance, it's like, oh yeah, you can, but but then if you put a price to it, they suddenly go quiet. So yeah, it's
Oh God,
always thought
like
of as a
you
bad
say that,
thing.
just like my whole body is just like, no, it's like screaming no. Like Zoom isn't a big energy exchange. Depending on the person, it's almost the same or sometimes more than being in person.
Hmm.
So that's why I love Voxer. I know it's different in different countries.
Yeah, we use it. Yeah.
Audio message me. I will answer at my convenience when I can. And if you start asking too many questions, then yeah, I'm going to be like, hey, we should do a session together and this is the fee. And let me know if you want me to email you the invoice. But that's the thing. Like people are just, like we have a lot of people who are greedy, and they're not necessarily greedy with money, but they're greedy with resources and they're greedy with other people's energy, right? Like energy vampires.
Hmm.
And I mean, the amount of DMs I get on Facebook and LinkedIn, like it's barbaric to the point where at some point I'm going to just like decide to shut them down because they just think it's normal to just hop on over the stranger. And like, I'm literally sending you like healing love from my heart. And if you're not going to receive it, that's going to make me feel bad. And if you, for whatever reason, like that I may not even know, like trigger me, like that's going to impact my health for the rest of the day. Like there's just absolutely no way I'm just going to hop on Zoom with a stranger.
No,
Absolutely.
no, I love that. And that comes back to the whole kind of like worth part as well, or sort of the self-esteem element we were talking about as well. So yeah, like Fallon, thank you so much for sharing like your thoughts around the whole the energy around money that we've talked about today and self-esteem. I always appreciate these kind of views on it. Because I've definitely been programmed in the past of, and it's an ongoing process, and learning from a great guy called Peter Sage, who's really good with this kind of talking about it being a sense of abundance and everything like that. But really like appreciate what you were saying about putting that into yourself as well, seeing you're worth it and everything, getting your mentor and everything. So yeah, like before we sort of wrap up, is there a final point you might want to share with us that maybe we've not covered, may or may not be, and where can the listener find more from you?
So the thing that just popped in that I'm like just trying to wait till you finish so I could laugh. Because I've thought this to myself before, but I've never shared it. So, your frequency is your currency. So like, what if your body was a bank? Right? What if your body, like me, I went and had to get my hairbrush broke, it's dead. I went to around the corner to get a brush for $5. And I was like, I know this isn't the brush, but at least I'll have it until the next brush comes, which is like a $20 hairbrush. And I was like, this is really a good investment. Like, look at me. Like, I know that this $5 brush is a piece of shit, but like, I need it to get me to my next brush. And that's going to make me feel so good because I need to brush my hair. I want to brush my hair, right? But when you're talking about people, I mean, and just tuning into what your body is trying to tell you, right? Like you told that story and like my body still is just like, oh my God, that's so horrible. Like, why would someone do that? But we're so in our heads all the time that we're not listening to our body. We're not listening to our gut. We're not listening to our belly. So I think that's important when you start making decisions, right? Like even if like there's some days where like I do want a coffee and there's only a few places that have like really good, like, high grade coffee around here. And like, I just always lately, I just keep going back to the same place because the vibe is high. Everyone is so kind there. They always have some fun activity that you can do, like writing what you want for 2024. And I'm happy to give over my money to them because I'm like, wow, not only do I get a coffee, but I usually get a compliment. I usually get like a minimum of 10 smiles. I get to sit outside in the sun with my coffee. Like that is a really good investment versus going maybe somewhere else that I'm not really feeling particularly drawn to. Like that might not be a really good experience. And the same with people. And it could be people that have been in your life for a long time. But like when you really start tuning in, like, are they going to contribute to my energy in a really good way where I'm feeling more joyful? I'm feeling more playful. Laughter is the most important manifestation tool on the planet. Like the more you laugh, the more beautiful things that are going to come into your existence, like 100%. So that was one little thing I wanted to share. And then find me at fallonjordan.com. And then all my social links and things like that are there.
Awesome. No, thank you, Fallon, once again for coming on today.
Thank you, Johnny. It was so good to see you. Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too. It's good to see you. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember, you are in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.